Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Wednesday, November 24th, 2010. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London. In Mexico City, it's 10:30 a.m. You need to reach us during the broadcast. You can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. Just again, a programming note, tomorrow is Thanksgiving in the United States. It's a federal holiday. Our offices will be closed on Thursday and Friday. The next broadcast will be on Monday. The CATEX office in London will be open. If you call the number in New Jersey, it will ring in London. Okay, we'll go right to our main news. The main news is that right now in London, actually down by the Houses of Parliament, thousands of students are protesting. This is after 2 weeks ago a very violent protest occurred. This is against the government's plans to raise university tuition fees. At the bottom of Whitehall near the Houses of Parliament, there's a heated atmosphere as protesters and police build up in numbers, according to a reporter. Already a police van has been tipped over. A number of students are on top of the police van after hitting it with bars and sticks. Apparently the police have contained the issue. The protests are on the way to the headquarters of the Liberal Democratic Party. They believe that the Liberal Democratic Party betrayed the promise that they made not to raise tuitions. So that will be going on. If you're in that area, you're undoubtedly aware of it. In the United States, some good economic news. The number of workers filing for new unemployment benefits dropped 34,000 last week. It's now down to 407,000. This is the lowest level since July of 2008. Economists had been expecting it to drop to 435,000. It went down to 407,000. The stock market is up 128 points right now. Here's an interesting story by Ben Dyson in Insurance Times. Aon is overhauling its charging structure, provoking protests from underwriters who believe it's seeking payment increases. Aon denies that it's actively seeking increases, and it claims it's only aiming to, quote, standardize and simplify its fee structure. A source told Insurance Times that underwriters were resisting the changes, but feared Aon would pull business if they didn't sign up. Underwriters were also concerned that agreeing to Aon's demands would pave the way for rival brokers to seek similar increases. Aon dismissed suggestions that the broker was putting pressure on underwriters, adding that it was negotiating in the best interest of its clients. The spokesperson said that Aon provided administrative services to insurance carriers, such as accounting, delivery and document storage, policy issuance, and was compensated for these services in a variety of ways. He added, as discussions progress with carriers in this area, we would not wish to comment further. Aon spokesman also said that charges for Aon's Global Risk Insight platform, GRIP, a database of information on corporate clients' risk, was totally separate from its administrative services. Now keep in mind that the GRIPS service is causing great consternation among European primary insurers as well as European large companies who buy commercial insurance. So this is an issue that's separate from GRIP. Apparently there's another effort by Aon going on insofar as restructuring their remuneration. Willis also, in a document entitled How Do We Get Paid, said that it was implementing a program to charge, quote, subscription market brokerage in some of its specialty lines when placing business into subscription markets, predominantly Lloyd's. The Willis document said this is because it faces increased costs from dealing with the subscription market and that it performed extra administrative, regulatory, accounting, and support functions to complete subscription market placements. Marsh was unable to comment at the time of going to press. So there's one thing that can be said about this without making any judgments. It's that the dropping of premium prices beaches all boats, just as the raising of prices floats all the boats. Big trial verdict in California. A federal grand jury has decided that SAP, S-A-P, the world's largest maker of business application software, has to pay $1.3 billion to this man, Oracle Corporation. This is Larry Ellison, the founder of the company. The award is made in response to copyright infringement by a now defunct software maintenance unit at SAP. The jury awarded the damage yesterday after an 11-day trial in federal court in Oakland, California. Oracle sued SAP back in 2007, claiming its American unit made hundreds of thousands of illegal downloads and several thousand copies of Oracle software to avoid paying licensing fees and to steal customers. Thomas Becker of Commerce Bank said SAP got a toxic Christmas present from Oracle. 1.3 billion US is a bold number, and the amount is higher than we expected. SAP, which is based in the small town of Waldorf, 2 L's, Germany, has reserved $160 million for the litigation, according to corporate documents. So this was a lot bigger than anybody expected. SAP said that they're probably going to appeal. Bad news in New Zealand. 29 men have now been pronounced dead. This is after a second, much larger explosion ripped through that New Zealand coal mine 5 days after the initial blast. After days of optimistic briefings, the family got the worst news possible earlier today. All the miners are dead. All communication was lost with the men last Friday after a methane explosion at the Pike River coal mine on the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand occurred. Apparently, as the 162-meter hole that was drilled into the mine was completed this morning, gas samples revealed methane levels of 95%. And this was at the test site, at the bore site. This was not in the mine. This was at the surface. Closer to the exit of the mine, there was a fringe of explosive gas, and the volume of methane behind it provided enough energy to trigger a massive second blast. One witness said the blast was horrific, just as severe as the first blast. So it's a very tragic situation there. News from Yemen, from the capital of Sanya. A car bomb explosion hit a Shiite convoy in the country's northern province of Al-Juf. This is just about 2 hours ago, killing at least 16 people, including the attackers. 12 other people were wounded. An official at the Interior Ministry in the capital told Xinhua news agency that the attack bore the hallmarks of Al-Qaeda. The Interior Ministry spokesman also said that the Yemeni Air Force has at once launched attacks targeting the Al-Qaeda military leader in Al-Juf. We'll go to a word now from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news.
Design for peace.
The former president and chief executive officer of IPC Re, Jim Bryce, is back in action. This is 17 months after he retired. Mr. Bryce has reappeared as chairman of newly formed Barbados-based Alicio Re. Alicio has entered the global retrocession market with an initial capitalization of $300 million. Alicio has been licensed and will write business effective 1/1 next year. Bryce's role is going to provide an active corporate governance and strategic leadership role. He said, "I'm looking forward to guiding senior management in establishing what I believe will be a leading player." Alicio has been launched with a focus on providing P&C protection, CAT protection, to the worldwide reinsurance market. It's going to operate as a monoline retrocessionaire. The firm will provide products both on an ultimate net loss and an industry loss warranty basis. Andreas Kuse has been appointed president and CEO to lead the company. Well, more rumblings around Europe. Let's start with the newest one first. Portugal's two biggest unions held their first joint general strike in 22 years today. They're attempting to weaken the debt-laden government's austerity measures, which are expected to cause wage cuts and job losses. Unions stopped trains and buses, grounded planes, paralyzed major ports today. The Prime Minister of Portugal, José Sócrates, said that the country will in fact proceed with the budget, remain on course to make wage cuts and tax hikes, and will in fact not need a bailout. Well, the other shoe has dropped in Ireland. The Irish government announced that, let me lean over here, they've unveiled $20 billion in spending cuts. Ireland's government said it will cut spending by about 20%. Oh, that's a big hit. And raise taxes over the next 4 years as talks on a bailout of the country's banking sector just about conclude. Welfare cuts of 2.8 billion euros, about 3.8 billion US, and income tax increases of about 2 billion euros are among the steps planned to narrow the budget deficit to 3% of its GDP. This year it's going to be 12%. If you include the banking rescue, it's 32%. The Prime Minister, pictured here, Cowan, is racing to conclude talks with the EU and International Monetary Fund on the 85 billion euro aid package. The Prime Minister said that he will hold national elections early next year, but he's first going to have the budget approved. Here's an interesting story from Israel. 3 workers were killed when toxic gas leaked from the Haifa, Israel processing plant of Oil Refineries Limited, the country's biggest refiner. A 4th worker was in serious condition. 3 other people were being treated for gas exposure. The Minister of Industry in Egypt, Benjamin Ben Eliezer, said he had warned about the plant's safety risks and called for it to be relocated. He said, quote, "This facility is like a nuclear bomb, and I have for years warned about its dangers. If we arrive at the conclusion that the facility poses a threat to life, we will shut it." The refinery has the capacity to process about 197,000 barrels of crude oil a day. According to Oil Refineries Limited, the gas leak poses no danger to the surrounding areas, and police said nobody has been asked to relocate yet. Well, speaking of nuclear bombs and driving, which we weren't speaking of driving, but I'll speak of it now. Actually, beginning in about 15 minutes is 12 o'clock Eastern Time. That's traditionally the start by the American Automobile Association of the Thanksgiving Day holiday. Beginning at 12 noon today and ending at 12 midnight Sunday, it's expected that several thousand American citizens will lose their lives driving. This is a very busy driving weekend. Well, we saw this story the other day. The Washington Post ran it, and we didn't pay that much attention to it first, but when you think about it, it makes sense. Take a look at this picture. This is nuclear waste. Nuclear waste is usually transported from a producer of nuclear waste's site, whether it be a weapons manufacturer, a uranium manufacturer, or somebody, to the low-level or high-level nuclear waste storage site. Also, weapons are sometimes transported. You see here, this is a mobile nuclear missile that sometimes are driven around. And of course, we all know what happens when nuclear explosions occur. Obviously, very dangerous. Well, the Washington Post is reporting that federal agents responsible for driving nuclear weapons and other nuclear materials sometimes got drunk and were detained by police while on the job. In a report issued this week by the Energy Department's Office of Inspector General, 16 alcohol-related incidents between 2007 and 2009 involving personnel with the National Nuclear Security Administration's Office of Surface Transportation occurred. 600 Office of Surface Transportation agents are responsible for safely transporting nuclear weapons and other materials across the country. that's a little bit difficult to take, that you could be driving